Hello. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Thank you all for being here tonight. Bear with me, I'm working on a new camera here. We're doing some additional upgrades, so I hope you guys enjoy. I think the picture's a lot better, so we're gonna give that a try. And for some reason, it keeps on trying to autofocus on my face, but we have a lot to talk about tonight. And I hope you guys enjoyed last night's show. If you weren't around and you're from Meriden, I suggest you go back and listen to it. It was an opportunity for the citizens to talk with their counselors, their representatives. So if you didn't, like I said, if you're from Meriden, by all means, you should be going back and read and watching that. And again, I'd like to thank Councilman Dan Burnett and Councilman Michael Carabetta for giving their time to talk to their constituents. As you know, I'm hoping that's what they got into politics for. Again, I'm Joe Vollano. So if this is your first time, I know we've had a lot of new viewers over the last couple weeks. So I welcome you to the show. And if you would like to be part of the show, give us a call, 203-679-9610. Or you can email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Always looking forward to speaking with you. Sean, we need snacks right now. I need snacks right now. It's been a long day for me. I just got in from the road, off the road. So, and I'm here with you guys tonight because there is no place I'd rather be than right here talking with you guys. So, let's get straight down to it. We're going to talk about President Biden's speech last night. For those of you who did not watch it, I wish I was you, but since I have to do this show, I'm kind of obligated to listen to the nonsense. So I pulled some of the most important clips from it. I didn't want to bore you guys with going through a whole hour and 15 minutes of BS that he was giving to us last night. But so let's get right into it because we got a lot to cover. Like I said, again, I want to hear from all sides. I know we have a lot of Democrats out there that listen to this, that watch this show. If you believe in what Biden is saying, by all means, give me a call. I love to have a great conversation about it. Because I would really like to hear your views on it. But so we're going to start off with, as I always said, with Democrats, it's always never let a crisis go to waste. And I'm glad that Biden was right up front on this one. That listen. With a crisis, they're going to take the opportunity. They're going to take the opportunity to do what they do best, and that's spend a ton of money. So let's go to his first cut. Go ahead.
Tonight, I come to talk about crisis and opportunity, about rebuilding the nation, revitalizing our democracy, and winning the future for America. I stand here tonight one day shy of the 100th day of my administration. 100 days since I took the oath of office and lifted my hand off our family Bible and inherited a nation, we all did, that was in crisis. The worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
So let's stop there real quick. So, it is the worst pandemic, apparently, even though if you look at the numbers, I was given this very good clip that I'm going to put on the site here from a doctor out in Idaho, which is phenomenal. That just shows that how much of a crisis we are not in with coronavirus. But then he talks about, the things that he's going to want to do. And again, when you talk to a liberal, anytime they say opportunity, it means money coming out of your pocket. So we're going to continue on.
Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
Now, America is already on the move. So I don't know where he's getting this, we're going back on the move. America was already moving forward. And it was Trump that got us moving forward. Because it was Trump with Operation Warp Speed is what got us moving forward. So I'm hoping that the next things out of his mouth is going to be, thank you, President Trump, for what you've done. But then let's see what he has to say next, though. Because I probably think it's probably not that.
Turning peril into possibility, crisis to opportunity, setbacks into strength. We all know life can knock us down, but in America, we never, ever, ever stay down. Americans always get up. Today, that's what we're doing.
Sounds
America's rising anew, choosing hope over fear, truth over lies, and light over darkness. After 100 days of rescue and renewal, America is ready for a takeoff, in my view.
So we're ready for a takeoff. Huh. Is this what a takeoff looks like? Is this what a takeoff looks like? High unemployment? Inflation going crazy? Is that a takeoff? Because I remember the rest of his speech, he talked about food lines, and he's talking about, people not being able to go back to work because of childcare. He's talking about how the health insurance, everyone's joining Obamacare, which is, again, ultimately the goal for Democrats, and keeping people out of work so they lose their health insurance is all part of the master plan. And the only thing I can say good about this speech is that at least for once he's honest about it. Because as we get into it, he's going to get even more on. But I kind of like this next clip here because I love how he's going to say the house is on fire. But let's listen to the in-depth of what he says. Here it goes.
100 days ago, America's house was on fire. We had to act. And thanks to the extraordinary leadership of Speaker Pelosi, Majority Leader Schumer, and the overwhelming support of the American people, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, we did act. Together we passed the American Rescue Plan, one of the most consequential rescue packages in American history. We're already seeing the results.
So we're already seeing the results of his jobs plan. Yeah, we are. Did anyone ever try to buy a piece of wood? Has anyone looked at your gas prices lately? Yeah, I would say we're starting to see his jobs plan work out really well. Sometimes I think, I know he's delusional sometimes, but listening to him, it's like he lives on a different planet. And he just can't come to grip with the fact that he's putting this country right into the crapper. We have an immigration policy down the southern border, which is an absolute mess. We're spending money like it's water. We're seeing the effects of that spending with the inflation going on. There's shortages in peanut butter. There's shortages in lumber. There's shortages in all sorts of different areas. But he's going to blame somebody. He's going to blame somebody, and it's not going to be any of the people that are to blame. It's crazy to me that this is where we are at in America, is that people care more about trying to play class warfare.
We're already seeing the results. After I promised we'd get 100 million COVID-19 vaccine shots into people's arms in 100 days, we will have provided over 220 million COVID shots in those 100 days.
And I did not hear him say, "Thank you, President Trump." I did not hear him say, "Thank you, President Trump, for getting the vaccine." And if you look over his right shoulder, it was that lady, Vice President Harris, who said, "I'm not taking any shot that Trump worked to get out to the people." But now they're all taking it. They're begging people to take it. But at no time are they giving credit to Donald Trump, who is the only president in American history to get all these private businesses together to do the research and come up with a vaccine in record time. If it wasn't for President Trump, Biden would have no vaccines to be handing out. And that is a fact. Without President Trump, there are no vaccines. But you'll never hear any Democrat ever say that. Let's see what else he has.
Thanks to all the help of all of you. We're marshaling, with your help, everyone's help, we're marshaling every federal resource. We've gotten vaccines to nearly 40,000 pharmacies and over 700 community health centers where the poorest of the poor can be reached. We're setting up community vaccination sites, developing mobile units to get to hard-to-reach communities.
Again, where is the thanks for Donald Trump? With the United States Army got all those logistics set up. Where is his thanks? If we're going to be honest with each other, they should be saying it. Thank you. It's appreciated. But of course they're not going to do that. Of course they're not going to do that. Because they'll never give Trump credit for anything. So with the next clip, he goes into talking about the rescue checks and the effects of them on some people. Now, I don't mean to make light of people's hard times, but if a $1,400 check is this life-changing to you, that check and what you have going on is the least of your problems. A one-time $1,400 check cannot at any time be a life-changing event. Because if that is the case, in 30 days, you are right back to your same problem. But we're going to listen to what he had to say.
We've already sent more than 160 million checks out the door. It's making a difference. You'll know when you go home. For many people, it's making all the difference in the world. A single mom in Texas who wrote me, she said she couldn't work, but she said the relief check put food on the table and saved her and her son from eviction from their apartment.
Now, excuse me, if a $1,400 check is stopping you from getting evicted, you are so far behind, that is not going to solve your problem. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that people are sitting here talking about these one-time checks as if they're getting them every single month. We have a bigger problem. all these stimulus checks are doing is causing inflation. Only thing these checks are doing is making people not want to go to work. The unemployment benefits that some are getting is more than what they make at a normal job. They just had a study out in Massachusetts. You could do nothing and collect unemployment and collect benefits and make $1,100 a week. $1,100 a week. The average worker in the state of Massachusetts is making $600 a week. They are de-incentivizing work, which is why we're having the issues that we're having here in America. And that's just, again, facts. There is no disputing them. The government does not want you going back to work. I don't care what he says here. He doesn't want you going back to work. He wants you being home and going on the government dole. Because like we talked about in previous shows, it's all about control. They want control over every aspect of your life. Because that's how you become an obedient voter. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They don't want you going out earning your own money. Because you're going to listen as we get over into more of this speech where he contradicts himself as far as the importance of going to school you don't need a college degree to do most of these jobs. So he's all over the place because they're trying to play class warfare against everybody. And they're saying whatever one, hopefully something in this speech will get you pissed off at somebody else. Because that's all this speech does, is sit there and pin one against the other. Because that is a liberal sticking point where they try to divide everybody. Let's continue on with what he just had to say.
My mother in Virginia who told me she immediately took her granddaughter to the eye doctor. Something she said she put off for months because she didn't have the money. One of the defining images, at least from my perspective in this crisis, has been cars lined up for miles. And not people just barely able to start those cars, nice cars, lined up for miles, waiting for a box of food to be put in their trunk. I don't know about you, but I didn't ever think I'd see that in America.
You're creating that friggin' America. You are creating it. You are creating it with your policies. You have been creating it with your policies for the last 47 friggin' years. And you're shocked. You're shocked that this is where we're at in America. You are doing it. Spending all this money. Everything he talks about. Listen, you're going to hear a lot of phrases in this speech. And they're going to sound like once in a lifetime, once in a generation, once in this, once in that. Of trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars that we want to spend. Well, not we. He wants to spend. Liberals want to spend. This country is effed if these policies go through. We're not talking about $1 trillion. We're talking about altogether with all his policies, $4 trillion. For a jobs plan, which if you saw the thing I posted today, why do we need a $4 trillion jobs plan when just 1 year ago we had the lowest unemployment numbers of all time with no tax dollars spent? We had the lowest unemployment. We had a roaring economy. And then you had this dumbass sitting here saying, oh, well, GDP is going to be 6% this year. Well, no shit. You just spent $2 trillion to put into the economy. What do you think the economy is going to do? But what he's not going to tell you is that inflation is going to go right along with it. Why do you think it's costing $18,000 more to build a house? Why do you think when you go to the store, you're seeing shortages? This is what happens when you throw a ton of money into the system that you can't pay for, that you have no way of paying for. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they make it seem like, yeah, no problem here. We're just going to spend, no problem. And then they're shocked at the results. They're shocked that there are lines miles long to grab a food box to be put in the back of their trunk. It's their policies that are doing it. And they're not shocked. They know. You can go look at Venezuela. That is probably the closest thing I could compare America to. Because before socialism, they had a ton of money in Venezuela off of oil. And then socialism took place. Now they're eating dogs. And they're searching through trash cans. We don't need to play this out here. It's been done before. Bill Maher said it perfectly. And I'm not a big fan of Bill Maher. But as he said, he's like, millennials and all these Generation Ys and X's and whatever the hell they are now, they talk about how, oh, we want to try communism. We want to try socialism. Oh, we don't need the police. We don't need the police. We could abolish the police. It's not that we want to argue with you. It's just that they're friggin' stupid ideas. We're not ignoring you. Well, we are ignoring you. But we're just blowing you off because you're an idiot. And they're idiot ideas. Abolishing the police. That's just the dumbest thing you ever heard of. Oh, we want to try socialism. We want to try communism. What the hell's wrong with you people? But again, this is how kids are being raised. This is the culture we live in, where nobody wants to work for it. Everybody wants it being handed to them. We want to make bad decisions, go to college for an arts degree. And then they want us to pay for their schooling. No. Roger, where's Roger? Roger should be in here. Says you're not intelligent. Well, he can come tell me why. All right, let's continue on here with the nonsense.
And all of this is through no fault of their own. No fault of their own, these people are in this position. That's why the rescue plan is delivering food and nutrition assistance to millions of Americans facing hunger. And hunger is down sharply already. We're also providing rental assistance. You all know this, but the American people, I want to make sure they understand. Keeping people from being evicted from their homes. Providing loans to small businesses that...
So let's get into that, because that's something that is not talked about very much. And if you own rental properties, you're feeling this. Because when they sit there and say they're doing rental assistance, no. They're just saying you can't be evicted. So if you're a landlord and you own property, you're SOL because you're not getting your money. You still have your mortgages to pay. But you can't evict anyone because of COVID. So you're losing all that money. You're the one that's going to be bankrupt. But no one gives a shit about you. It's all about, getting more votes. We're not going to let you get evicted. And like I said, if they're getting evicted, that $1,400 obviously isn't doing enough for them, right? So what? What's the answer? Should we just be giving everybody $2,000 every month? Should we be paying for their rent now every single month? I mean, where does it end? How much money is enough? Hell, we spent $2 trillion, why not 4? Why not 6? If they obviously they don't seem to care about deficits or care about, being competitive in the world as far as the dollar. But nobody talks about those landlords. What are they to do? But again, they have money, or as Biden said, they're living okay with a little breathing room. Right. So when foreclosures skyrocket, then what do you do? I mean, again, people, it's this kind of stuff that just, again, irritates me, because they try to speak to the people that have the least and try to make them resent the people that have something. They don't even have to have a lot. A lot of these landlords don't own a lot of properties. They inherited one, or they had one, then they moved to it, they upgraded, and they kept their house. It's just crazy. So we're going to move on, and he's going to get into child poverty. And I wanted this part in here because it is a little interesting, and just from the perspective that he takes it. So we're going to listen here.
Investments to address the opioid crisis. And maybe most importantly, thanks to the American Rescue Plan, we're on track to cut child poverty in America in half this year.
Now, of course, we all know that's bullshit, right? Just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Yeah, that makes no sense. So just the whole phrase itself makes no sense with child poverty. Unless you're planning on giving everybody in these households like $5,000 a year, $5,000 a month, to sit there and take half of child poverty down, the first sentence already doesn't make any sense. But let's continue on.
Tonight, I'll be eating a pork banh mi with extra jalapeno.
So it's not that I'm not against crypto currency. It's just that I'm just telling you that realistically they're not going to allow it to happen. So there's no way that the government gives up control over the Federal Reserve, over the federal currency, to anything, cyber currencies. That's just not going to happen. One is so volatile, the market's so volatile. I mean, you go from 50,000 to 20,000 in a matter of a day. There's just no stability behind it. Granted, the way we're friggin' moving now, there's no friggin' stability anyways. So, my camera again. Again, I have a new camera here today, and it is telling me that I'm maxed out. But we're just gonna let it go. It's okay. So let's continue on.
While this was all going on, the economy created more than 1,300,000 new jobs in 100 days. More jobs than first.
So $1.3 million. $1.3 million it created, jobs it created over the first 100 days. But yet we were down 8 million. So people are just going back to work. But if you look at it from a realistic point of view, it's only, what? Not even maybe 11% back, which means everybody else is still out of a job, which means everybody else is still just grabbing a paycheck. So, I mean, it's easy for people to see now this thing again. It's easy for people to sit there and say that. Oh, there we go. We are back in action. There we go. We're going to continue on here.
More jobs in the first 100 days than any president on record. The International Monetary Fund is now estimating our economy will grow at a rate of more than 6% this year. That will be the fastest pace of economic growth in this country in nearly 4 decades.
Now, again, back to my point. When you throw, $2 trillion in this year, plus you threw $2 trillion in, the end of last year, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Of course you're going to grow at 6%. Come talk to me in 2 years at where we're at. We're going to be back down into Obama at 1.6, 1.7. And as he would call it, that would be the new normal. So I just don't get, and people buy this stuff is what irritates me the most. Because most people just don't understand. And it looks like I'm having some serious camera issues lately. So, but, I'm just trying to find the right camera for it. And it's becoming more of an irritation than anything. And a ton of money, unfortunately, because they just don't like me. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you're always going to have a high rate of GDP when you put $4 trillion into an economy. That's just common sense. That's just pure basic economics. So, I mean, again, but people fall for this. People sit there and hear that, and you have people like my good friend Craig is going to probably sit there and say, how right he is and how great he is. And we all know it's nonsense. But let's move on to the next, and we're going to build back better. And now I want you guys to listen to this because I want you to tell me who this sounds like. And it's usually not Biden or liberals.
America's moving forward, but we can't stop now. We're in competition with China and other countries to win the 21st century. We're at a great inflection point in history. We have to do more than just build back better. We have to build back better. We have to compete more strenuously than we have. Throughout our history, if you think about it, public investment in infrastructure has literally transformed America, our attitudes as well as our opportunities. The Transcontinental Railroad, the interstate highways, united 2 oceans and brought a totally new age of progress to the United States of America. Universal public schools and college aid opened wide the doors of opportunity. Scientific breakthroughs took us to the moon. Now we're on Mars, discovering vaccines, gave us the internet, and so much more. These are investments we made together as one country, and investments that only the government was in a position to make.
So, we're going to build back better by spending a ton of government money, which means all your money. So we're back to our old camera here. So as you can see, this picture went a little bit, little degraded, but it's okay. This is okay for now. At least you guys can see me, even though some of you probably don't want to see me. But it's just the government cannot spend this kind of money. Listen, what made America great was not government spending. what made America great was letting the free market go about making changes. When something fails, something took its place that was better. That's how it's always been. We don't need to spend billions and billions and sometimes trillions of dollars of government's money. Really, it's not government's money because the government doesn't have any money. Taxpayers' money. We don't need to spend taxpayers' money for something that the private sector already does. And that when something fails, it's because something else took its place that was better. And that's how we, each and every time, something's better and better. So, now we're going to get into his jobs plan. So here are some of the specifics of his job plan. I'm going to let him tell us about him.
This is the largest jobs plan since World War II. Creates jobs to upgrade our transportation infrastructure. Jobs modernizing our roads, bridges, highways. Jobs building ports and airports, rail corridors, transit lines.
Now, real quick, why do we have to spend trillions of dollars more to do that when, let's look at here in Connecticut. We have a huge gas tax. All that money is supposed to be going into a special transportation fund to actually sit there and build and fix the roads. That's what you pay 60 cents a gallon for. In case you didn't know. If you have a diesel truck, you pay 62 cents. If you have a gas car, you're paying anywhere from 50 to 60 cents, depending on how much gas is at the terminals, because they have an excise tax that you don't ever see and you probably don't ever know about. So we pay all this money. Where's all that money go? You pay your city taxes. No, Jamie, I'm not going to stop charging you that. Then I got to pay it. Hey, I've seen your boat. You can afford it. But, it's where does this money go? Nobody answers that question for you. Where is all that money? Because they want to increase your gas taxes. And I wanted to get into it tonight. But I don't think we're going to have time because I still have like 8 more clips of this. So, Sunday we're going to get into the state stuff with the religious tax exemption that was taken out for vaccinations. We're going to get into the gas tax that they want to come on. And hopefully I'll have a guest for us, a warrior up at the state capitol. He's a good friend of ours. And, hopefully he's going to have time to join us. I wanted him to join tonight, but he couldn't do it. He had a committee meeting up in Hartford. So hopefully we'll get him on. And he could talk in depth about what's going on up at the state. Because if you're not paying attention, there's some trouble brewing up in Hartford for us, for the citizens. Not for them. They could care less. They're all set. Because, of course, they take exemptions for themselves. But we have a lot going on that needs to be addressed. But I don't want to get sidetracked off of that. We're on Biden's nonsense today. And let's finish hear what he had to say.
It's clean water. And today, up to 10 million homes in America and more than 400,000 schools and child care centers have pipes with lead in them, including drinking water. A clear and present danger to our children's health. American Jobs Plan creates jobs replacing 100% of the nation's lead pipes and service lines, so every American can drink clean water.
Now, this is something I guess I might get behind. I guess I might get behind this. Getting the lead pipes out? Okay. That's okay. I can get behind this part of it. If we want to take out all lead pipes in the schools and in child care centers, all for it. But let's see what else he has in line for the jobs plan.
And the process will create thousands and thousands of good-paying jobs. It creates jobs connecting every American with high-speed internet, including 35% of the rural America that still doesn't have it. It's going to help our kids and our businesses succeed in the 21st century economy.
Now, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and we talked about how the American people do not need to be subsidizing Verizon, AT&T, all these big companies to sit there and run things that they already run on a daily basis. If there is a need or there is a want for a service and it's profitable, a company's going to get it there. He talks about these 35% that doesn't have internet service. They do. They just don't have wired lines going to their house. You know, we do live in the 21st century. Do you know what we have up in the sky? They're called friggin' satellites. You could get internet off of a satellite. It is not the American people's responsibility that if you choose to live out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, to sit there and run lines to your house. That's not our responsibility. That's not the government's responsibility. You chose to live there. You will have to deal with what you can get. If you don't like it, simply get up and move. It's pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Why are you going to take my tax dollars to go and do that? They love to waste money. And they talk about all these great paying jobs, infrastructure. Okay, let's sit there and say, best case scenario, we go ahead and do this. And, okay, 5 years later, the projects are done. Projects are done. Now what? Do we go and spend another $2 trillion to put these people back to work? You were trying to artificially inflate numbers. You were trying to artificially give people jobs that aren't long-lasting jobs. So he loves to talk about, oh, well, they're good-paying jobs where you could make a good living plus a little. No, they're not. For what? So they're happy for 3 years, 4 years, until the project's done, then they're out of a job again? And then what is the American people supposed to come in and spend another $2 trillion, $4 trillion to sit there and give them a job again? Where again, this jobs bill is being paid for over 8 years. But projects are done in 4 or 5. So then we're going to have 3 years of what? Paying for something where people are going to be out of a job. You're going to want to spend another $4 trillion. Now you still have a third of what you already spent to pay back. It's just a vicious cycle of nonsense. It's irresponsible. And it affects every one of us. It's crazy. Well, why? I'm not trying to dissolve your job. But I tell you what, perfect example, if Frontier feels that there's money to be made, they're going to make the investment to go out there and do it. And therefore, you're going to have your job and you're going to go build it out. But you're still making your money either way. Money is not the answer to all problems. It's not. They just love throwing money at things. Education. Listen, I love the guy to death. Secretary Cardona, I love him to death. We've been lucky enough to follow his career from, when he was a teacher here in Meriden to assistant superintendent to commissioner of Connecticut. And I look at him today and I don't even know who the hell he is. I don't know who he is. I have his Facebook to post to be #1 on my top of my list. So every time he posts something, I see it. And every time I look at it, it breaks my heart because I know this is not who he is. They just want to spend money. They want to put this wedge between the inner cities and the suburban schools. And they want to spend a ton of money for things that they don't need to spend money on. Because this is not the secretary, this is not the Cardona that I know. But he drank the Kool-Aid down there. Washington, I always said that. Washington is so toxic, it makes great men and women into monsters. That's what Washington does. That's why I say whether you're a Democrat or a Republican down in Washington, 90% of you, 90% of them, I don't trust at all. I don't care what party you are, because it's one big club down there. It's just absolute madness. But let's continue on with his great jobs plan here.
And I'm asking the Vice President to lead this effort, if she would. Because I know...
Oh, hold on a second. I'm asking the Vice President to lead this effort. Guys, someone, name me one thing this woman has accomplished. And name one thing. He named her to take care of the southern border. How'd that fucking work out for everybody? How's the southern border going down there? Harris is all over it. Don't worry about it. Because you know it will get done. What will get done? She'll sit in her desk. She hasn't even gone down to the friggin' border yet. She hasn't even gone down there. But I want you to take care of this. I know it'll get done. Absolutely crazy. There goes Roger. Libertarian Party. Guys, I mean, I always am open to. I always want people to express their beliefs and their ideas, and let people, let people make up their own mind. The Libertarian Party. I have a lot of libertarian views. Me and Roger will disagree on some things. Usually, it's going to be foreign assistance and stuff like that. But I mean, I like to say I like libertarians, and I have a lot of libertarian views. But someday I'll have Roger on, and we should go through it. Yeah, we should buy more bombs. Why not? Maybe another couple of 100,000 or so. There's nothing wrong with owning bombs. They're a good deterrent. The best bomb is one you don't have to drop. Then you don't have to buy it once. You don't have to drop them. And sometimes when you drop one, you just got to make sure you drop it the right way, and solves your problem. It deters people from doing anything even stupider than what they already did. More stupid than they already did. But let's continue on, because I don't want to get sidetracked.
Get done.
Tonight, I'll be eating the pork bun.
So, our next clip here, because I got to kind of breeze through some of these we're not going to get to. So I'm gonna jump around here. So we are going to move over to number 13 here. I have to make sure I number all my sound clips here so that we have the right ones. So here we go. Now tell me who this sounds like. Tell me who this sounds like before we even go. Let's go.
American workers can't lead the world in the production of electric vehicles and batteries. I mean, there is no reason. We have the capacity. We're the brightest, best trained people in the world. The American Jobs Plan is going to create millions of good-paying jobs, jobs Americans can raise a family on. As my dad would then say, with a little breathing room. And all the investments in the American Job Plan will be guided by one principle: buy American. Buy American.
Now listen to this.
And I might note parenthetically.
Tonight, I'll be eating fried.
We gotta love the. So he's saying, buy American. We're gonna take Americans first. Huh. Who does that sound like? That seems an awful lot like Donald Trump. Let's continue.
Violate any trade agreement. It's been the law since the 30s. Buy American. American tax dollars are going to be used to buy American products made in America to create American jobs. That's the way it's supposed to be, and it will be in this administration.
Now, while that sounds all rosy and beautiful, one, it sounds an awful lot like Trump. But the only difference between Biden and Trump is Trump wasn't spending your money to do it. That's the only difference. He was not spending your money to do it. He was making other countries buy products here. He was letting corporations, making it worthwhile to start businesses back up. Brought the steel industry from China back to Pittsburgh. That's what Donald Trump did. That's the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden just wants to take your money, throw it into the economy, and to make artificial numbers of 6% GDP growth, when really it's not. Because if you take that $4 trillion out, you're down at 1%. Again, that's just basic math. At least when Donald Trump was here, he wanted corporations to be able to buy products here in America that cost the same as if you bought it over in China. Because that's the ultimate problem. But of course, this all gets put away because, again, most Americans are uninformed. It's just a fact. It's unfortunate, but it is the world we live in. But let's continue on and see what he has to say.
And I made it clear to all my cabinet people, their ability to give exemptions has been strenuously limited. It will be American products. Now, I know some of you at home are wondering whether these jobs are for you. So many of you, so many of the folks I grew up with, feel left behind, forgotten, in an economy that's so rapidly changing. It's frightening. I want to speak directly to you, because you think about it. That's what people are most worried about. Can I fit in? Independent experts estimate the American Jobs Plan will add millions of jobs and trillions of dollars to economic growth in the years to come. It is an 8-year program.
He just told you. It's an 8-year program, $1 trillion being invested, but again, who's investing that? Who's investing that $8 trillion? The $4 trillion being invested is coming from you. It's coming from you. No one else. But like I said, we're limited on time, so I'm going to jump. We're going to go to clip 17 here. Because, of course, the big question is, how are you going to pay for it? And he's going to let us know right now who's going to pay for it.
For my jobs and family plan. I made it clear we can do it without increasing the deficits. Let's start with what I will not do. I will not impose any tax increase on people making less than $400,000. But it's time for corporate America and the wealthiest 1% of Americans to just begin to pay their fair share.
And I always love this statement We're going to make corporations pay their fair share and the wealthy to pay their fair share. The bottom 51% of Americans do not pay any taxes. Zero. Zero. So anyone who's seen it, zero. 51% of Americans do not pay any taxes. Are they paying their fair share? The top 3% pay 76% of all taxes in America. That's not their fair share. How much more do you friggin' need from them? Corporations. Corporations need to pay their fair share. Do you know what happens with corporations? If you tax my corporation, I am not paying it. Do you know who pays it? Do you know who pays it? You guys pay it. If they tax me, do you think I'm going to cut into my profits? No. I'm going to pass that along to the customer. It is one of the biggest scams of politicians ever. And they try to do it all the time. Because they want to deflect from themselves and their poor policies. And they want to say, no, look at this person. He's the one doing you wrong. And it's not them. It's the government. It's the government not living within their means. I need to make a profit. I own a business. I own a corporation. So if you are going to sit there and say, all right, Joe, Filler Up is going to get charged 20% more per gallon. Every gallon of fuel I pick up. Do you think I'm just going to turn around and say, oh, well, I guess I got to pay this extra 20%? Or do you think I'm going to be a smart businessman and say, all right, well, I got to protect my business, and I'm going to take that 20%, I'm going to add it to your bill? That's what happens. Why do you think you're paying almost $4 a gallon for gas? You know, people like, again, boaters who enjoyed very low gas prices last year are seeing double prices this year. I was selling gas. I think it didn't go over. I don't think it went over $2.50 last year for gas. I'm at $4 already. And it's only going up. And oil and gas went up again, almost another $2. So that means another 6 cents to you guys. If you're watching oil prices, a good rule of thumb is for every quarter, it's a penny. So if it goes up $1, if oil goes up $1, you're paying an extra 4 cents at the pump. Just keep that in mind as you watch it go up and up and up. It is crazy to think that a corporation is going to sit there and cut into their profit. Listen, they have shareholders. For all you out there who think that these corporations, remember, if these corporations pay out all this money, say goodbye to do you know where that affects you? Your 401ks. Because if Biden went on to this speech, again, I can't play all of these. So I tried to do the ones that I could in the time that we had. He goes on to talk about the biggest corporations in America. Well, your 401k, your retirement is directly correlated with them. Because if they do good, your 401k does good. If they go down, your 401k and your retirement goes down right along with it. Don't let this class warfare blind you to what's going on. Don't let them sit there and distract you from the real problem, which is government. Government is the problem. It always has been. It always will be in the future. A small, limited government is what's needed. Let the free market do what it does. Competition is good. Government interference is bad. All these programs that he's talking about does nothing more but condone crony capitalism. They will pick the winners and losers because they will funnel money to the people they want. And that's usually donors. That's usually lobbyists. Who has the biggest lobbying group? And they'll do it all while trying to divide us to play these class warfare games. The rich are bad. No, you should want to be the rich. You should want to be there. But again, there's so many people that fall, that I can't even call them victims anymore. I can't even call them victims anymore. People that fall for this crap. They're not victims. They're because they know better. They should know better. And if they're not staying informed, then shame on them. They deserve what they get. I'm sorry. No corporate bailouts. I was one of the first voices in 2008, 2009 against the bank bailouts. The banks knew damn well what they were doing. And that's because, again, if anyone remembers, that all started in 1994, 1996 with subprime loans. And that was created by the federal government that told banks, you have to give to low-income families that you know would never be accepted for a loan. But they forced them into it. And then once the banks figured out, okay, well, all this free money's coming my way. The government's backing it all. Shit, we'll just give it to everybody. And subprime loans went out like crazy. If you haven't watched The Big Short, the movie, The Big Short, you should really go watch it. Because it's a real good depiction of what happened with the housing market. And again, that's just another display of the government interfering in the free market system. And when you sit there and artificially change things, this is what happens. Yeah, Frank and Dodd, that didn't help either. But that's what's going on. But again, because it's all about getting votes. And I'll be the first to say it. Republicans owned the House at the time. Newt Gingrich and Republicans were just as much to blame as Democrats were. That was not just a liberal thing. Because they are all vying for votes. Government should stay out of the free market system. Or else it's not a free market. I think that the word free market speaks for itself. But again, using all these terms of once in a lifetime, once in a generation, once in a lifetime commitment is just another way of saying we're going to spend all your money. Yeah, exactly. You can't beat Santa. No. But we shouldn't need Santa. America is resilient. The American people, at the end of the day, I always believe don't want handouts. But I think one thing they do have is common sense. And like I said, Massachusetts is a prime example of that. If you can make $1,100 a week sitting at home doing nothing, when the average take-home salary is $600, why wouldn't you? But at some time, the gravy train has to end. You know, as with any socialist, eventually you run out of other people's money. You just do. Because the government does not have money. They can sit there and say they make money, but they don't have any money. I'm sorry, I don't have my power cord into my camera here, which is why it shuts off, because I wasn't using this camera before. But the government doesn't have money. In order to give a dollar out to someone, they have to take it from someone. One more time. It looks like we're going to have to do this here, because we're just about done. In order for them to give money to someone else, they have to take it from someone. And rich people are rich for a reason. Rich people are not stupid. They will take their money, and I think we just talked about this last week. They will take their money and go somewhere else. They have that ability. They could go anywhere in this world that they want. They're billionaires. They could care less. New Jersey is a prime example of that. New Jersey turned around and raised taxes on individuals, on wealthy individuals. Their wealthiest person in the state left and left a 15% deficit in their budget. One person paid 15% of all taxes in the state of New Jersey. And he left. Imagine if liberals get what they want and they raise it to 40. Most of them want 50-60% tax, top tax rate. You think these rich people are going to stay here? No. They're going to take their money and go. And then guess who? Because now, again, all this money has been committed. Someone has to pay. Someone has to pay for it. Who do you think's next? My friends, it's you. It's you. And he says he's not going to raise your taxes, but he's going to raise corporate taxes. He's going to raise, taxes on rich people. Any tax on a corporation is a tax on you. You just don't know it. A tax on any corporation is just a tax on you in a roundabout way. I just think about that, and if you look at it logically, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't be fooled. Don't go for any of this nonsense that they're trying to give you. The best tax is one that doesn't exist. The best regulation is one that doesn't exist. But that's where we are in America. And we've been here for a long time. They've been trying this class warfare for way too long. But they use it because it still works. It still works on a lot of individuals. But to sit there and say that the rich don't pay their fair share when the top 3% pay the 76% of all taxes in America, and then 51% of the people do not pay any taxes? I mean, you tell me where that's fair. But I also don't want to give them any ideas of doing a VAT tax, a value-added tax, where they just tax, it's like a national sales tax. Even though that would be more fair. If they're looking to have fairness and everybody pay their fair share, have a value-added tax and take all other taxes off the table. Yes, Roger, we all know taxation is theft. That is the libertarian's favorite catchphrase. And I do agree with you in some extent there. But unfortunately, listen, taxes and government is those necessary evils. Government's never going away. Taxation's never going away. So the best we could do is try to limit them. And that's what our founding fathers wanted. That's what our founding fathers wrote about several times in the Federalist Papers. And what the Federalist Papers are is their explanation on what they meant when they wrote the Constitution. They never wanted this. What we have today, our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves. They would hate everything that's going on today. They wanted a limited government where the people were free to do as they wanted, as long as they didn't hurt themselves or anyone else. We don't have that anymore. We can. We can. If people wanted to be informed voters and people wanted to do right, we can have that again. Only time will tell. We have an election coming up again in November. We have elections coming up, and I think the difference couldn't be any clearer between the two. Between, again, your Democrats and your Republicans, and of course, even your Libertarians. And that's why we're committed to this show, to make sure that we get everybody from all sides. We get all sides represented. I want you to hear from everybody. We'll have liberals on. I have plenty of liberal friends that run for office. I'm going to have them on the show. And I want them to tell you their views. And then you're going to see Republicans come on, and they're going to tell you their views. And make up your mind for yourself. Like I said, I just moderated last night a great town hall that people of Meriden have been desperately asking for. Because I don't know about other cities, but here in Meriden, you could ask the council a question, but they can't respond back to you. Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in a representative government, where I'm asking I don't want to say leaders because I hate that word. I'm asking my representatives a question, but they can't give me a response back. So we ran our first town hall last night. And I asked some questions, and we had a lot of questions come in from the public. Because it all starts with a conversation and discussion on the issues. And if your representatives don't know where you stand on them, or you don't know where they stand on them, how are you an informed voter? Again, then you're probably just going in there voting an R or a D, and that's the worst thing you could do. I don't want you voting for just a party just because they're a party. I voted for Democrats in the past. I have. And I will in the future if I have to. If they are the better candidate, I will. My commitment is not to a party. It's to my city, my state, and my country. Do I have a green room? Come the end of May, yes. And our debt will be our downfall. Roger, you missed that episode already, where we talked about the great monetary reset. And it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I already moved my prediction from 10 years to 5 years. If the jobs bill gets passed for $4 trillion, and then we do the Family Act for another $2 trillion, and they want another stimulus thing, it's going to be about another $1.5 to $2 trillion. You're talking about $8 trillion within the next 2 years. We are screwed. That reset comes in about 2 years. And we could get more into that, over the years. And over the next coming months. I must have missed a thing on what Paul mentioned Obama. So we got a lot going on. We've only scratched the surface. So like I said, I could have done 3 hours on this speech from last night. But at the end of the day, we all here have the ability to make change. Every one of you have an opportunity to change what's happening in your town, in your state, and in your country. It's a matter of if you take the initiative to go do it. Spread the word. Get people to be more informed. But if we don't sit there and try to make the change that we think is needed, we can't bitch about it when it doesn't get done. People ask me why I run for office. I hate running for office. I don't want to run for office. But I do feel it's very, very important to get your views out there. What did I miss here? His solution is just as crazy. What are we talking about here? What did I miss? What about religious freedom and connect? We're going to get into that on Thursday, Roger. All right, on Sunday. We're going to get into that on Sunday of the religious freedom exemption that was just tossed out by the state. So I don't want to get too much into that now because hopefully, like I said, we're going to have a guest on that. We'll talk about that. And again, we're going to talk about vaccines and stuff. That all kind of rolls in together on Sunday's show. So, but again, each and every one of you right now has an opportunity to do your part. Get out there, call your representative, let them know what you feel. And it's funny because we talk about the vaccines, we talk about the Religious Freedoms in Connecticut Act that just got knocked down. And when I talked to my friend, the first thing he asked me was, "Well, where was everybody? Where was everybody with their questions and their opposition to it?" And that's something that happens all too often, is that we don't stay engaged in what's going on. We don't stay informed in what's going on until it's too late. And then when it happens, everybody's up in arms like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened." And it is frustrating sometimes, but again, they do this on purpose because they want to try to make it as convoluted as possible. They try to stick it into different pieces of legislation so that most people don't even know what's in it until it's too late. And for the average person who's working a 9 to 5, isn't paying attention. Which is why, again, it's so important for your representatives to be on Facebook, on Twitter, on all these social media sites. We live in a world, we live in an age where information is at your fingertips at any time. And I truly believe that our representatives should be using that as much as possible to reach out to their constituents. An uninformed voter in this day of age should never exist. Everybody has the internet now, for the most part. It's a matter of what they're doing with it. They'd rather sit there and watch, YouTube funny videos and chat on Facebook or whatever else they do. But we're going to get into that probably about June when we'll get into, the true effects of not being an informed voter. But we are well over our hour. So, but again, Paul, I'm all for you. I'm voting for whoever legalizes online poker. I don't care about the marijuana part. Even though it's going to happen. The marijuana part's coming. But I'm for one, I miss my online poker. And I'm sure, yeah, Roger, I'm sure you do love the cat videos. But, this whole speech that he gave last night was meant to do two things. One, distract you from the real issue going on in America, which is they're playing this coronavirus. They're just using it now as opportunities to get their master plan passed through. They're going to use it to try to create rule number 4 in the rules for Marxists, rules for radicals. Confuse. They're trying to make it so confusing on what they need. First, he's going to tell you that you need college, and we need to do more than 12 years, 16 years of schooling now. And then in the same breath, it's going to tell you that, well, you don't need a college education because 90% of the jobs are non-college degree jobs anyways. And then they're going to try to play class warfare with you. And we didn't get into the guns because he went after guns also. We didn't get into police reform because they went after police departments also. So, again, Roger, I see, as I put it up there again, the Libertarian Party. Go to their website. Go to their website. And then go to the Meriden, and then go to your, whatever RTC you're at, whatever Republican committee one you're on. Go to that one too. Go look at all of them. But since the screen went black one more time, I'm not gonna restart it. I'm gonna thank you guys all again for joining us tonight. Again, it's always a pleasure being here. I get excited just to be here twice a week with you guys, to listen to what you guys have to say, to read your great comments. And again, do your part in your circle of influence to make a difference, to make a positive difference. So until Sunday, until we meet again, I thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. And again, God bless you. God bless this amazing country of ours. Let's not waste it. Let's not destroy it. Let's sit there and do our part to make it even better. So God bless you. God bless America. And I will see you all on Sunday. Good night.